Cannabis. My name is Landon, and I am here with Jon Piasecki. Today, I'm going to be interviewing him, and he is the science behind high science. He is the one who knows all the good things behind it all. So I'm excited to interview him today and ask him some interesting questions about what he does. So, how are you doing today, John?
I'm doing well, Landon. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Good. I do want to say in the beginning, I don't know all the stuff about the science of the pot because, to be honest with you, we're all just sort of starting to figure it out. It's going to be your generation or the generation after that really gets it dialed in.
I like that. Yeah. I think we definitely will. And once we kind of unfold and really do more research behind it, I hope more stuff comes out. We can really see what we're doing and what's, going inside of our bodies.
Yeah, well, and I can teach you a lot of stuff about the plant at least. Um, so I can do that.
Okay. Awesome. So I wanted to get into the first question. What inspired you to get into cannabis and join high science?
Well, I started using cannabis when I was quite young. Did it primarily as an escape from a bad family situation, and for really all the wrong reasons, and at a much too young an age. But what happened was, in sort of getting high to escape cannabis and learning about cannabis and growing it because I grew up right on the Canadian border in New York State, where it's very, very cold. And I really wanted to grow cannabis even as a young boy. Cannabis was very different in the 70s than it is right now. And I was trying to grow it there, and it's almost impossible to do. So it really ended up launching my whole scientific career. In the end, I managed to get my life in order, and I was able to go to, two Ivy League schools and study all about plant science and landscape architecture. Cannabis has really been there for me the entire time. And I would say, looking back, it's literally led me to where I am now.
That's pretty cool. Would you say that your time in education pushed you towards moving towards studying plants, or did you just kind of like what made you get interested in plants specifically?
The cannabis plant really harmonized with me. I felt a close connection to it. I loved getting high, and I was just very interested in all the different aspects of it because where I was, it was so cold and the season was so short. I really had to do a lot of thinking about how to get the plant to move faster. Like, first off, I had to understand what was happening. Why is the plant flowering? Because when I started doing it, they wouldn't even be flowering before they froze and died because they were all from, Central America and the seeds were adapted to closer to the equator lifestyle. So, it took a while to understand about sensimilia and how to get things to move along and where to source different cannabis plants from. And, are there other places that cannabis grows that were like the cold, harsh place that I grew up, which was like Siberia? And in fact, there are.
Hmm.
Um, and even more, learning about cannabis, one thing is the plant and the science, but a second thing is you learn about how cannabis has traveled with humanity. Initially, I started reading about the Silk Road and how cannabis moved from China, um, sort of westward into Central Asia, where it started actually, but as a drug, and then back in through to the European countries. And then from the European countries, as they did conquest all over the entire world, I'm sure cannabis is grown on all seven continents. And the nerds in Antarctica are no doubt growing weed. So it's everywhere.
That's incredible, and I wouldn't have thought about like the reach that it's gone to, like all the way in Antarctica. I would surprised the climate allows them to grow things like
Oh, it
that.
had to
So
be inside. It would have to be inside.
yeah,
I bet you somebody's doing it.
of course, you never know.
Yeah.
So can you explain the idea behind your farm motto and why it matters to you?
So really, cannabis did launch me on a wide, wide field of study. And One of the things, the Wiseacre farm is the farm, but the Cyclops is sort of the emblem of the farm, and that came about. I've always just felt a sort of connection with the Cyclops, with the myth of the Cyclops. And as I became more and more educated and learned more and more about mythology, it really has a resonance with me.
I like that. That's really cool. Cyclops are pretty interesting. They're the ones with three eyes, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They've been represented a number of different ways. The common way in the West, and they're different in different cultures.
Hmm.
There's Cyclops in Japan that are these weird little floating creatures that are like dead children, I think. And then,
Mm.
there's there. I'm sure there's something in Africa and Yoruba culture where there's like one-eyed thing. There's some in South America and Central America. But the one I know the most about is the sort of Greek Cyclops, the Cyclops of the West. And there were three sort of stories about them. One is the one everyone knows with Odysseus, where the Cyclops trapped Odysseus and his men and and started to eat them, and they blinded him.
Mm.
So one kind of Cyclops are these fierce, murderous, semi-animal monsters who just kill and destroy society and order. The other Cyclops were the craftsmen of the gods. They helped um, Vulcan, Hades, to make the 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 weapons and tools of the gods, the best stuff in the world. So that's kind of, I don't know. I like Cyclops.
Yeah, they're pretty cool mythical creatures, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
What is the sustainability? Why is that so important in the cannabis cultivation?
So right now, if you're growing cannabis indoors, like a big indoor grow, you generate almost 5 tons of carbon dioxide pollution for making 1 pound of usable flower. That is a level of carbon dioxide emissions that's like really akin to rolling coal or the computer centers that, maintain the cloud. It's really, really wasteful and pollutive, and it's destroying the future.
Mm.
Um, so a lot of people like indoor grow. Indoor grow is it's great. The plant does great inside. It makes great weed. There's super craftsmen at it, but the whole process of it is very, very pollutive. And I like growing the plant outside. I think the plant likes the sun and the water and the moon and the wind and the rain. And I cannot grow a pot that's quite as strong as the folks can do inside, but I can make it pretty damn strong. And you can also always follow it up with like a full terpene profile, multiple cannabinoid dab from an outdoor plant, or live rosin or live resin or any of those things if you need to go really hard. But what you'll see if you really start using outdoor weed, it is a little weaker just as flour, but you can supplement. But it it changes you. It gets you into a different kind of high, and it, it really improves your life. It's medicine, and it's medicine that is good for people.
I like that. I definitely agree. How would you say that it's more shifting towards indoor versus the outdoor growing, since like you were saying? Because I'm noticing
I,
that you say you see more people doing indoors now.
Yeah, on the East Coast in particular, and I think amongst the younger generation on the West Coast as well, there's a real focus on indoor flower because you can really, the sweet tastes are very strong in it, and it can get really strong. You can push up into the 30s with THC level, which is a huge accomplishment. And people have done extensive breeding and work to be able to do it. It's really actually pretty amazing. And it's really good weed. It gets really high. It tastes good. But it makes a lot of pollution. And also, it lacks the presence of the minor cannabinoids that are driven on by the sun. The sun is just such an intense light source. It's like orders of magnitude more intense than any, even the best grow lights. And the plant is, millions of years old, and it has intense interactions with the sun and the soil. And that alters the cannabinoid profile and the terpene profile of the plants that you're growing. And that makes for a different kind of high. Um, uh, just kind of you almost never get paranoid because you have sort of a broad spectrum of cannabinoids around the THC that keeps you level and sort of chill, but you can still really get out there. It's Outdoor weed is really awesome. It's hard to do, but it's really awesome, and it pollutes. I think as opposed to 5,000 pounds per pound. I think with outdoor, with all the tractors and the freezers and stuff, we add up to around 27 pounds of carbon dioxide released per pound of weed made, um, which, which is a lot, but it's not 5,000. And in our farm in particular, our farm is only part of the acreage that we own, and the rest of it is set there to sequester carbon happily. It can pretty easily offset whatever we generate. So.
It's very interesting how things have kind of changed from being outdoors into now indoors and how they have different effects. I wouldn't even think of that, you know? It's really cool stuff.
Well, it's interesting. And there's people who are really indoor people. It's just their thing and they love it. And it's good. The weed is good. There's no question about it. Um, but there are other ways to get high and there are other experiences to have as well. And they can be less pollutive, and you can supplement it with dabs if you need more THC.
That's very true. How would you say that your background in design and forestry has shaped your approach to farming?
Well, growing cannabis in Massachusetts is not um, a friendly experience like it is growing it in California. Our climate really is not very great for the plant. It's wet. We have a short growing season. We also, because cannabis came here with the slaves, with the very first freaking colonists, we have all the endemic diseases that go along with cannabis, specifically leaf spot diseases, the powdery mildew that's specific to cannabis. Um, and also, there's a bunch of root problems that we have. So, the cannabis plant, or if we have wet soil, it's death to the cannabis plant here because we already have so much. So, there's intense fungal pressure to destroy the leaves of the plant as they grow. We don't have a lot of the mites, the insects like they do out west, but with really intense fungal pressure. And unfortunately, a lot of the West Coast and Colorado weed is based on, I believe, Afghani weed, and that's from a really dry place. And so that landrace, that dry landrace, which really I think brought quite a punch to cannabis, um, makes the plants that make that high THC really susceptible to disease. So when you start growing them, when you move them from outdoors in California to outdoors here, it all goes well for a bit, and then everything just rots away, and you
Hmm.
don't get any flowers, and it sucks. So it the so that I and a lot of other people have been doing a lot of breeding to get the plants to be disease resistant here, and that's really the main work.
That's definitely some good stuff, and I'm definitely getting pretty informed with most of the stuff you're telling me. A lot of stuff I really wouldn't think about before that it could affect the cannabis and how it grows out there. It sounds like it's definitely tricky, especially with the soil and everything. So, but you've come around in major ways to get around it, so it's really cool. So I want to ask you, what are some eco-friendly practices you use at Wiseacre? If I said that
Wiseacre.
correctly. Wiseacre? Okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. At Wiseacre, we grow in the soil. So we have to amend our soil with usually recycled wood products. So we put many, many thousands of yards of usually rotten bark mulch stuff that people are throwing away down on the ground. Um, that's actually pretty useful. It turns into good soil and it makes use of a product that would have gone elsewhere. And further, it sequesters the carbon that's associated with the wood so it doesn't get burned. So that's one thing that we do. We don't use electric light so much to grow the pot. We're using the sun, which saves us a lot on electricity. We don't really have HVAC system per se, like a indoor grow or a hybrid greenhouse grow. So we don't have to spend money on heating and cooling so much to grow the plants. Um, um, we do that. We also burn most of the stems. So when we do heat the building through the wintertime, where we grow the moms under fluorescent lights and do the cloning, we heat that with wood and also the burnt stems of the year's harvest, which is kind of cool. So we're actually using the leftover stuff after the harvest to heat the facility, which we feel pretty damn good about. And that's really the main thing right now. We sort of ran out of money and we couldn't buy solar panels. Our hope was to do that, but we don't have enough money because the cannabis market collapsed. So we haven't been able to.
That sounds really cool. I like how you guys are doing your best to be eco-friendly and like reusing a lot of your resources that you can. And I know you kind of mentioned that you think the sun affects the cannabis better than just like the overhead lighting that they would normally use.
Um, Better. It's so much bigger. It's like the difference between a swimming pool and the ocean. You know, you can grow if you've got the light on top of you, and you can make really good weed that's like, 2, 3 feet tall. But I think of the cannabis plant as a goddess. To me, to let the goddess go to her fullness, she needs to be in the ground, looking at the sun. Um,
I like that. And you're saying you told me that the cannabis industry has kind of been not doing so well money-wise. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
on him, it's a disaster. It's a unfolding, just bloodbath of crushed dreams and hopes and no money and prejudice. And I mean, it is so damn hard. And, I think legalization killed cannabis culture in California. I mean, it's so crazy hard. Hasn't worked. I mean, when there was a thing, they call it I think the gray market now or what. Legacy market, they call it. But like you could sell a pound of weed for $2,000 here. Um, Now it's worthless. I mean, it's worthless in dispensaries. You're getting $10 eighths, and then you got to pass testing, and it's just a disaster. Lots of people went out of business and left. People haven't been paying their bills. It's tough. Towns come after you. I'm, working on getting run out of my second town. Your bank drops you. Your wife leaves you. Dude, it sucks. 2020 sucks for cannabis. It,
Oh yeah, I remember I was talking to I think Jeff was about some of the financial issues that you can go through with it, and I was just shocked about how they'll like try to hold your money and things like that. But it's like, legalization, you'd think it would make things better, but it's kind of setting everything back almost. It kind of sucks.
we're having to reinvent, and Also, the economy is pretty harsh. I mean, it's 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 tough. It's a tough time right now. And I think as cannabis is legal but isn't legal, it's sort of in this weird in-between space that it's quite challenging to navigate.
Well, what's been the most challenging season of farming that you faced?
Oh, this year by far is the worst. I mean, when you run out of money and you can't buy fertilizer, and that's common. That's all the different growers are having the same stuff. You can't
Mhm.
afford labor. This has been a terrible year. Great for the plant. The weed on our farm. I don't know if they've shown you pictures of it, but it's absolutely insane. We've totally got multiple genetics dialed in to be sort of set it and forget it in New England. It's 2 acres of bud that is really, really, really nice looking. Um, it's mostly going to go to extracts because there's no money in making really good flour. Um, and the best product I can make without having to irradiate or, you know, is to make extraction because then you get the full spectrum of the cannabinoids and all the terpenes. It's very, very clean, and really yummy.
Well, I'm sorry it hasn't been so good for you guys, but I hope that, there's a turnaround and it kind of, picks up and things, get to flowing. But it sounds like, even despite the hardship, you've still been able to have some good growth. So that's pretty good.
Oh, not only good grow, it's like those of us who are still here, we are some hard motherfuckers. Um, that we have just been kicked and punched and pushed and stuffed down, and we do not give up. We're going to keep going, and this is a magical plant. It's an important plant. And I don't give a shit how many people are going to try to knock me off my horse. I'm still going forward with it. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of us. It's too big to let go of. And, at this point, I think the finances of the market, at least in Massachusetts, have turned. I think a number of people have exited or gone out of business. And I think the whole thing has been reset. And it's been reset with the players who made it. And I think that in the end is I suppose, the one thing capitalism can do. You have to really do that to survive. Um, and it's been really, really interesting. As hard as it has been, and it has been hard, it has been really interesting. And the people that you meet going through this are some of them are some super high quality people. Some of them are. That's that.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, how do you see cannabis playing a role in spirituality or mental health?
Again, I'm a bit of an oddball. I see the cannabis plant as a goddess. I think that cannabis unites a tribe of people who come in all races, genders, political affiliations, cultures. It unites people, and they think it's one of the first things to be domesticated, which means that it's completely plausible that cannabis taught us to change from being smart monkeys to being farmers. It's deeply, deeply tied to cultures all around the world. Um, it's that is a core factor of religion. And so to me, um, it's a goddess that brings enlightenment and intelligence and has been there for people when we had to learn to make books and write. Um, when we had to sail across the seas, we needed ropes that could withstand the salt water. The hemp provided that. It's provided strength and salvation to suffering people, probably most notably slaves in the Middle Passage, moving across. They were really being stolen from Africa, and sedated in the holds of the boat with cannabis, and then brought here to New England, at least, where they planted hemp and worked the fields of hemp. It was hard work, and then even the goddess gave to African American culture medicine and clothing and strength and support, and it's deeply, deeply tied to African American culture in the United States and also African culture. My people, the Polish people, is probably one of the biggest genetic collections of cannabis biodiversity in the world is in Poland because of all the hemp and cloth that's made there. No, so to me, it's a goddess that helps us in times of need. And we're coming into a time of need now. Difficulties are all around us. There's many, many things that threaten to divide and destroy us. People that are young like you, I don't know where you can find the hope to keep going into what is clearly just a gigantic clusterfuck. I mean, there's no way around it. It is. And to me, I work with the cannabis goddess, and she's told me that in working with her, it's to help young people like you for what comes next. She will be there with you, like she's been there with us all through the past to help guide us and keep us moving, going forward where we can do the best of what we can be. People have wonderful things about them that need to be preserved and cared for. And she believes in us and she will help us get through this.
I think so. We are definitely in a time of need, and cannabis can definitely help a lot of people, whether they're using it recreationally or using it for their health. And that's the beautiful thing about it. I like everything that you said. That was very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
All right, moving on to our next question. Outside of cannabis, what Wiseacre projects are you most excited for?
So it's Wiseacre. And
Wiseacre, okay.
Wiseacre is really uh, all about cannabis. But I think that the thing that I love the most about it is that the cannabis is really a vehicle to build a community of very diverse people who usually wouldn't necessarily get along together. And we've built this amazing team of people to grow this plant and watching them as they sort of flourish and are, we make payroll and there's less of them than there were when we had money rolling. But the people who are still with us are really benefiting from being around the plant. They're learning incredible stuff. It's just really, really full of life. And it's like generating all sorts of different energies that I would never have expected. It's really awesome.
Now
So that
for a fun question, what's harder, long science talks or explaining cannabis at a party?
so I'm a long science talk kind of guy. I probably bored you a little, dude. So
Oh
I,
no, I've been intrigued in everything you've told me. Don't worry.
that's not all too boring for you guys to hear all that stuff.
No, I would actually love to come and see the farm one day. I feel like seeing it in person would help make me visualize everything and then working and learning how you guys grow. That would really, interest me.
It's really empowering and it's a great thing to do. And I'm sure that as high science moves along, you're going to get to travel with high science and you can come out here. Now is the time to come. You don't where you live in Phoenix?
Yeah, I'm in Gilbert, so not too far from where I know Jeff's up in Scottsdale, so or Ed is.
You want to come in the summer.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I can get out of AZ in the heat.
Come in the winter. And the fall is really the thing. So what I'm hoping that we get from the weed is that I think New England can bring some really cool things to weed culture. And, New England's different. We're different kind of people. And what we have, this crazy ass weather, makes really good pot.
Mm.
It doesn't make really good flour like you can make in Humboldt. It's not the same. We can't grow beautiful flowers like they can grow there. We can make them pretty, they're nice, but they're never going to pass testing and no one will pay for us to take care of them. But we can make really good cannabinoids, really good terpenes. And it's the cold makes it awesome. So
That's pretty cool. And now
it's pretty.
for one last question. What's your favorite way to unwind after work, just after a long day?
I get pretty high. Yeah. I like hanging out with my wife. I like getting high. Um, I like in the summer I like watching fireflies, but they only last a little while. Now it's all pretty leaves, so I look at the pretty leaves and the stars.
I haven't seen a good firefly since I've probably back home in Chicago, honestly.
We live at the Berkshire County's kind of like heaven for fireflies, so we have them by the millions. And when it's hot and humid, we only get like a month of hot weather, but when it's hot and humid, they come out, and it's like there's stars all around you while there's stars in the sky. It's beautiful. It's really nice to get super, super high and check out.
I was just about to say that. I can imagine being like really high and just looking at all the fireflies. It sounds like fun. I love nature, so it's definitely one thing I would love to do is just be outside.
It's July. It's
Yeah.
come get Ed to bring you in July.
I definitely will mention it to him. That's something we'll have to do. And it would be great to just meet you in person and then, see how you're doing things out there. It'd be pretty cool.
I think it'll be pretty interesting. Now, are you studying pot at school or are you studying communications at school?
I'm studying audio engineering. That's how I got into the whole podcasting sphere. And now I'm getting interested into the cannabis field. I wasn't familiar with it at all. I was just a user and I found your guys' company online and I was like, this sounds interesting. Let me try to apply here since, I'm a smoker and see what it's all about. And I'm learning so much. It's been amazing.
Well, awesome, man. We'll see more of you, I'm sure.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to come and interview with me today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I look forward to meeting you in person. Thank you.
Me too, and hopefully we get to talk more soon and get to know each other better.
All right, sounds good.
All right.